Okay guys, part 2 here of the Glock complete detail strip. I'm going to go ahead and start with the frame here. Okay, you have 3 pins that are in this frame. This is your locking block pin right here. Your slide stop pin, which slide stops right there. There's an arm in there that comes down here, which I'll show when I take this apart. And you have your trigger group pin right there. So what you want to do is start out with the top pin. Always remember is first out, first in, and there's a reason for that, and I'll tell you why in a moment here. So you just want to take your punch, push that pin right on through. Here's what that pin looks like after it comes out. Okay, next you want to push out your slide stop pin. Here's your slide stop pin. Now you can remove your slide stop. See how long the slide stop is, and here's where your pin goes through. Well, the reason that the top pin in this frame has to go in first, the one that's above this hole, is because this little spring right here has to ride underneath of that pin like this. So this pin here, your top pin, has to be in there because this little piece right here pushes down when it goes in and rides underneath of it, pushes down a little bit like that when you install this in the gun. And it would be sitting in the gun like this, and that little piece would be under that top pin. Okay, next you can remove your trigger group pin, which is right there. Right there. Okay. There's your trigger group pin. It's a plastic pin. The other two are metal. Now what you want to do, this is going to be a little bit hard for me to do on camera because I'm not looking at the gun as I do this, keep in mind. I'm looking through the viewfinder of my camera with the camera in front of me, and I'm doing it like I'm watching a video. So, but I'm going to do my best here to do it like this for everyone. Okay, here's your locking block right here. This is what the top pin that went through here goes through, is this locking block. Just put your punch in there and pull upward like that. See it coming out of the frame? It comes right out. Now you can see where that pin went through. That's the hole where that top pin went through. Okay. Now we're ready to remove the trigger group. And that's pretty easily done. It's easier than it looks. Okay, what you do is, this right here is called your ejector. And that's your ejector. It's a non-moving part. The casing comes back and hits it and gets pushed out of the slide. What the extractor holds the casing, brings the casing back. The rim of the casing hits on the tip of this, and then it gets pushed out through the slide. Okay, so grab that with your finger and grab back here and just kind of wiggle it around a little bit. Sometimes you'll have to do a little bit of wiggling to get this out, and as you can see, out comes your whole trigger group. Let me move this out of the way. Okay. Here, of course, is your trigger, the safety lever, the initial safety. This is the trigger bar. Okay, this back here is the connector, which you can see my connector is cut down. It's a 3.5 pound connector. Okay, now we're going to move the trigger bar. Okay, you want to, there's a spring right here, down in there. You want to lift and tilt this out, back, and up out of here. It might just takes a little bit of working to get this out. It's easier than it looks, but it's just the way they're designed. Here's your trigger spring right here, and here's your trigger bar. And to get this trigger bar off, see that little hook on that spring? See if I can get this here in front of the camera. There's how you unconnect the trigger bar. Always tilt it to the skinniest side. See that hole? See that hole right here? That's what connects in that little loop on that spring. Always tilt it to the skinniest side like that and it'll come right out. When you're installing these springs, always remember, always install them like an S. The top hook coming forward, this bottom hook comes up toward my thumb, and the opened end is at my thumb. Always install this like an S. Okay? Here is the connector, my 3.5 pound connector. Now what I'm going to do to start this is, see back here, there's an open spot. That connector's in there. I'm going to come back here and I'm just going to give it a little push. Well, sorry, I pushed a little too hard, I guess. And it came right out. See where right here's where the connector was riding. And right here, this part of the bar on the connector was what goes back in this slot, and then it lays in here like that. Let me show you again. Here it is, 3.5 pound connector. Yours is going to look a little different than mine if you have stock, but it's going to look exactly the same on top. It's just going to be wider. There's not going to be a cut in right here. It's just, the only reason it's cut is because there's less material, and the other metal piece that rides on this slips off a little easier. There's a little less friction, lightens the trigger pull a little bit, makes it feel a little bit better. So there's your connector, 3.5 pound. And at this time, if you wanted to change your connector out, that would be the time to do that. Ejector, and the rearmost part of your trigger group, which is also polymer. Okay, here's the frame. Everything emptied out. No trigger. And that is how you detail strip a Glock pistol. It will work for any of the Glock pistols, from the G20 to the G36. If you can do one, you'll be able to do the others. Alright everyone, humans for targets. I'm out.